Competitive advantage does not come from the market. It comes from the inside resources of a firm. This idea makes the foundation of resource-based view theory. Today in this lecture, we will be understanding how as an individual, how as a professional, how as a startup founder, how as a business firm owner, you can use resource-based view theory to gain a competitive advantage. The RBV theory came after industrial revolution when the service sector started dominating the businesses. So it focuses on the firm specific strengths. RBV is important to understand for students, professionals and business owners because all the firms in a same industry perform equally. Internal capabilities determine long-term success and sustainable advantage only can come from the unique resources. So if you have a machinery, chances are all the people have the same machinery. But if you have a machinery that also supports the AI systems that is 6G compatible, then this can become a unique resource for your organization and fits under concept of RBV. Basic assumptions of the RBV are two. First, resources heterogeneity. Firm process different resources. Resources cannot be same for the different sources, for the different companies. This also includes the human capital, the human resource. Secondly, resources immobility. Resources are difficult to transfer, particularly when it comes to the human capital, when it comes to the machinery, cross border we can see, when it comes to the learning, understanding of the people. These leads to the sustained advantage that companies have over others. What are the resources? So as a student, as a business professional, you know that assets are the resources, capabilities of the humans, capability of the factories to produce things. For example, Tesla cars are the capability of Tesla. Apple has the capability to produce Apple phones. Someone else cannot have it. So it comes from the assets, it comes from the process, it comes from the knowledge. So all these things are resources for the companies. Controlled by the firm, used to implement strategies can be tangible or intangible. So for example, patents are the prime resource of RBV resources that main companies have. Types of the resources: tangible, we can say physical, financial, these are tangible sources companies have. Intangible, the brand, reputation and the patents, these are intangible sources. Third is human resources, obviously skills, expertise. It also includes human loyalty, human understanding, human engagement. And the capabilities versus resources, if we see, resources are what the firm own and capabilities are what the firm can do. Capabilities integrated resources effectively. Core idea of the RBV. Core idea of the RBV is that competitive advantage arises from the valuable resources. Not all the resources create advantage, must satisfy specific criteria. So the specific criteria is the RIO method. So this is the core slide of the lecture. So whatever resource or capability or asset or people you have, they must be valuable. They must be creating value in the process in the company. Secondly, they must be rare. Thirdly, they must be imitable, mean difficult to copy, difficult to produce the substitute, organized to capture value and determine the sustainable advantage in the uh, competition sector in the industry. Valuable resources are those resources that help exploit opportunities or neutralize the threats. Valuable resources are those resources that improve the efficiency and effectiveness and add the economic value to the firm. The rare resources are not widely possessed by the competitors or are those resources which are scarce. Scarcity increases competitive advantage and the uniqueness of these rare sources matters. Third thing is immutable resources, those which are difficult to copy, that depends that have path dependency, that have casual ambiguity and social complexity, and organized to capture value. Firm must be structured to exploit the resources. Property system, culture, policy required. Without organizations, no advantage can be realized. So sustained competitive advantage in the RIO framework is about occurs when all the VRIO conditions are met. Competitors cannot duplicate easily, leads to long-term sustainable performance in the companies. So You might be thinking that we already studied one thing, Porter's five forces, and then we are discussing about the RBV. What is the difference between these things? Let me tell you that this VRIO framework and Porter five forces and RBV, these all are the strategic processes that all are important. So when we are comparing these, we do not mean that one concept is lesser important, you do not need to implement in your organization. All are important. The Porter forces focus on the industry structure, while RBV focus on the internal strengths. So we can easily say that Porter is about external factors, and the RBV is about the internal strength. External versus internal strategic lens can be used easily while comparing these. Dynamic capabilities extension is ability to integrate, build, and configure resources, respond to environmental changes, and important in fast moving industries. So these are the dynamic capabilities that must have, particularly the technology, the way it is changing. We moved from 2G to 5G in less than 15 years, and we are moving to 6G very soon. And this definitely demands from the companies to integrate different resources, and it also asks them to kind of take care of the environment, also create an ecosystem. So the dynamic capabilities are extremely important in our this RBV model. How we can use it in the age of AI. Data is a strategic resource. Those companies which will have the data, they will expand. One of the reasons the way Google is expanding, the way Apple is expanding, is because they have the data. They know the consumer. Our one most important lecture in the coming lecture is about the consumer behavior, where we will understand that the consumer behavior understanding is giving so much advantage to Facebook, Apple, and Google, that they are diversifying themselves so much that they are creating AI tools that are doing social media work, that are creating the content, that maybe or managing the offices, that maybe have lot more information than we know. So data is the strategic strength which companies can use in the era of AI as RBV. AI algorithms are core capabilities. Those companies which will have AI capabilities have the RBV. Digital transformation is a competitive asset, and intellectual capital dominance is also an asset in the age of AI. Digital transformation is not just being digital, it is about completely transforming the ecosystem, completely transforming the method. So the way we work, basically Google, Apple, Microsoft are changing it, and this all is happening in the age of AI. And any company that can add value, they can be collaborators of these bigger conglomerates. So practical examples, we can talk about the Apple. I already was giving examples of it. So brand reputation, which is intangible thing they have, design capability, humans, ecosystem integration capability, and meet Rio conditions. So these three conditions are being met by the Apple. Practical example, we I was talking about the Google. So each algorithm, search the algorithm expertise, obviously this has it, massive data infrastructure, AI capability, and extremely hard to imitate. So new startups coming, definitely they cannot imagine to compete with the Google. So because of these bigger platforms these days, what as a business professor I teach my student, that you must not compete with these platforms, you must collaborate with them, because this is era of collaboration, not competition. So I often say that that when you are seeing the bigger companies, even though they don't want to compete with each other, so you are seeing the Microsoft talking, working with other companies, and Apple working with other bigger companies. They are going into different other countries, globally operating their services. So everybody is going into the collaboration mode, because this creates win-win situation for them, and these companies are so big that they're almost hard to, almost impossible to compete. So criticism of RBV is difficult to measure their sources. This is a static perspective, ignores external factors, or emphasis on internal factors. And these criticism obviously can be addressed, as we already try to address in our this lecture when I teach to the students, that you must not focus on only RBV. You must not focus on only core competencies, which was our previous lecture. You must not focus only on RBV. You can combine all these things and get the best for your firm, get the best analysis, get the best visibility. So managerial applications of this lectures are identify the strategic resources that you have, invest in capability development, because without this you will not survive in coming days, protect intellectual property, align structure to capture value.
So for students, they must be able to define the RBV because that concept is used all across the world. They must be explained the VRIO framework. They must be able to compare it with Porter because that will bring the external factors and provide real world example as we give here. This is extremely important for the students. And if you understand this, please let me know in the comment section. Can intangible assets be more valuable? How does AI strengthen RBV relevance? Is RBV enough with the industry analysis? And what we can learn, the key takeaways of this lecture as RBV explains internal resources, sources of advantage. RIO determines the sustainability, capabilities, integrate resources. AI era enhances important